All right, the game's coming up this week in Oregon and Oregon State. Civil War, 12 o'clock kick from Autzen. Pregame will start at 10 on your home of the Beavs, 1190 KX. I'm very happy to welcome my friend and the voice of your Oregon State Beavers, Mike Parker, back to the show. Doc, good afternoon.
Chad, it's good to be on with you. I'm glad that Shacker pulled out a little Bruce Hornsby out. I think I told you this before, but I had a friend who worked at Nordstrom in downtown Portland, and she said one day they were all there and agog went in the entryway to Nordstrom downtown. There's Bruce Hornsby on the piano. He was going to be playing later that night, and there he was playing, and a crowd gathered. Got a little free concert at Nordstrom downtown. Those are the days, right, Chad?
Definitely the days. And you know what I love about certain musicians, Doc, is that Bruce Hornsby, I don't care what the song is, when I hear him stroking the keys on the piano, I know that sound. I'm like, that's Bruce Hornsby. Like, that's when I know you're legit, is when you have a signature sound that I can recognize with my ear right away.
Very distinctive, and the only two pianists I can distinguish one from the other. You're right about Hornsby, and the other would be, for me, Chico Marx of the Marx Brothers in all his films with his signature style. So those two, Chico Marx, Bruce Hornsby, kind of come to mind. It's good to be on with you, Chad. How are you?
Oh, it's so good. Oh, by the way, many people don't know this, but Herb Albert is going to be in Portland coming up here in a couple of months. Can you believe that?
You know, in saying that, I'm sorry to not know this, but if you would have told me, Herb, the late Herb Albert, we lost many years ago, I would have thought, yeah, you're right. I mean, I haven't heard of his name for a long, long time, but gosh, I liked him. But I've been liking him since the late '60s. So good. He actually is playing Portland soon.
He is. He's going to be at the Schnitz, and the problem is there's a Blazer game that night, so I might be sick and unable to work that night for obvious reasons. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm glad you can kind of feel those things coming on. So, man, good for you. I hope you get to see him. Now, that's also, obviously, a very distinctive sound in musical history.
There's no question about it. I want to talk to you about a lot of different things today, but first off, here's my read on the situation with Trent Bray and Oregon State. Now, I know there's a lot of people who are frustrated right now, but, I think when they hired him, they made the right call, Mike, at least through my eyes, because they were trying to keep it together and not lose everyone when Jonathan Smith left. And when you hire a guy, at least in my mind, who has no head coaching experience, you understand there's going to be a process for guys to learn, just like Chauncey Billups has learned on the job with the Trailblazers. And when he took over the program, it wasn't exactly in the best spot. So I just think that even though sports fans don't like to hear this, maybe a little patience right now to continue to let him build and grow as a coach might be the best approach. Like, what's your read on the situation?
And Chad, well, clearly that's what, Scott Barnes has indicated publicly, that's his belief and plan, what you're talking about, and that, Trent is the head coach now and go forward, and that the plan to rebuild the program and moving into the Pac-12 will be under his watch. And I know, believe me, I've seen every play this year. I know how tough it is. And it's not only, I think that the detractors would talk about, well, it's not only this year, but the way last year ended. I do think we need to remember what you just reminded us of about the situation the Beavers were in when he, in a very real sense, was a hero, kind of saying, I'm not getting on that plane to East Lansing. I'm staying. These are my guys. We're going to, the idea was that a lot of people told Trent, you stay, I'll stay. I'm not going. I'm not going to portal out of here. I believe in you. He's always had the trust and belief of his players, and he still does through the tough start the Beavers were in and the end of last year. He still has that. So we need to remind ourselves of that. He still has the locker room, and I'm around Trent enough to believe that and know he's a truth teller as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Nigel might say the same. Nigel Burton might say the same too, and others. In terms of what's going on at times. But so I trust him too, and I think Scott does. And I do think clearly in making the move to him, Scott and everybody else understood that a first-time head coach in that position, was going to take some time to grow into the role. I think what we may have maybe thought he got so quickly out of the gate at 4-1 last year, right? You're thinking, oh my gosh, this is great. But then injuries hit and quarterback play, which eventually left a lot to be desired after that 4-1 start. They didn't have enough going at the quarterback spot. They were injured all over the place. And the 4-1, ended up being a disappointing 5-7. And this year's start is what it is. It is disappointing. And the Fresno State game is the one that really galls. All of that said, he's still very young, as you pointed out, young in his head coaching career. And I still think is the right guy to lead the Beavers through right now where they are and where they're going in the new Pac-12.
It's funny, Mike, when he made those comments to Nigel Burton, I had just watched the first half. And I got to be honest with you, if I had watched my team hold a lead and then all of a sudden a bad snap resulted in a worm burner type of a kick that was scooped and scored, I probably would have said a couple of things inappropriate on television as well. I'm just being honest.
I know, Chad, and I know. And when I chuckle, you think it's funny? No. I don't think it's funny. I know that may sound a little bit like Colonel Jessup, and is there something funny here? No, it's tragic. It's terrible. Tom Cruise baiting Nicholson. No,
yes.
It's terrible. It's tragic.
Yeah.
That may sound like that when I say it's not acceptable, and it is. And Trent knows that, and that's clearly been communicated to him. But that is sort of the perils of two things there. One is somebody's still growing in the head coaching role and all of the duties that go along with it and how intense and locked in he is as a coach during, in the battle itself. And the half just came to an end on that miserable note. And, so he has to deal with all of that. And I will say, as soon as he was done with Nigel, Ron Callan on radio, and you met, 1190 KEX, all of the listeners heard Trent on the exit interview not utter a thing like that. So he kind of, he got his shot out there, quickly composed himself, and maybe even caught himself, I'm not going to do that again, and he won't. But the two things, growing into head coachly role and the whole idea of putting a microphone live in front of a head coach
yes,
at
of
halftime
course.
coming off the field.
What do you expect?
Trent's not alone in that kind of stuff.
Yeah. If you would have put a microphone in front of me right after the Denver Broncos got penalized on a missed 60-yarder, which resulted in a 45-yard game-winning field goal for the Colts, I probably wouldn't have been in a great mood right in that moment. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know. And I do think those that argue, and Trent is being well paid for being in the role that he's in, and he will grow in all of those areas, and I think he already is. I think that was a tough lesson for him, but I like the guy. Oh, yeah, he's not one of those guys that's going to hold forth on long discourses about things, but he's direct. He's a truth teller. He's well respected by what really matters. He's well respected by his players, and that in the long run is what's really going to count here.
Yeah, I don't know how you looked at the schedule before the season began, but I really don't think all is lost right now because I thought in my own mind coming out of the first four games based on the brutal schedule they had, I thought they would be 1-3. So I was disappointed with the Fresno loss. But the good news is after you play Oregon, there are opportunities on the schedule to where they can really bounce back and finish strong. And so I guess what I'm most anxious to watch is to see how Coach Bray manages the storm and how those players continue to respond down the stretch. How do you see it?
Yeah, it's a great point. And, there does seem to be this almost fatalistic resignation that the season, in a sense, starts a week from this Friday night, in terms of, okay, now you begin to dig your way out.
Yes.
And can you? And that's almost just an acceptance of the unfortunate place that the rivalry game, Civil War game is now heading into this matchup this weekend in Eugene. What I'd like to see there is, the Beavers finally play clean. You know what I mean? Play clean for as much as possible for 60 minutes. There's no such thing as a perfect game for anybody in football. I mean, things will go wrong, and you got a lot of other good guys on the other team over there. I've been preparing my depth chart, and it's a little okay, yeah, him too. Oh, yeah, another 4-star, 5, yeah, him too. I mean, as I'm writing down all my notes on these guys, it's a formidable group, and I understand it, and some think they may be the best team in the country. So in terms of what the expectations are for Saturday, I know Trent Bray's a fighter and a competitor and a believer, and he'll have his guys, I think, really revved up to play, particularly after what he felt, and it was the most astonishing thing to me so far this year. The special teams. No, I'll have to. No, that I retract that. The special teams play in the Fresno State game is still one of the most amazing things and unfortunate that I've seen because it cost them a win. However, to see guys at Texas Tech and Trent Bray himself, that's the truth teller. He's calling out his guys for not playing at full speed with a full physical effort. And he said it after the game. He's reiterated that. He has their full attention. I think you're going to see an Oregon State team Saturday with absolutely nothing to lose, with no expectations upon them whatsoever. Play hard, play fast, play loose, and I think play their best game now of the season. Now, where that leaves them, who knows? But I think you could take that. I want to see them play clean and sound football in all phases. And Malik Murphy against a young secondary, and that's the one thing Joel Klatt and others have said, well, does Oregon have any kind of Achilles heel? Well, I do think Malik Murphy has hit 14 plays of 20 yards or more, and that's 17th in the country in terms of those kinds of chunk plays against a young, talented, albeit, but young secondary. If the Beavers can keep Malik upright enough, and I understand that's a pretty big if against that great front, I think there's some plays to be had in the passing game. If you can hit enough of those, create a little doubt in the other guy, you can maybe, I think, be in a much more competitive situation than the odds makers and a lot of people feel what's going to happen on Saturday. But whatever does happen, play well. Give yourself some confidence against a great team in a tough environment. And then, as you're saying, Chad, get on that back end, begin the back end in Game 5 of the schedule that has wins. You play to your ability. There's wins to be had, and I think make a push toward a postseason game, which if the Beavers are there at the end of the year, good on Trent, and it's clear that he is the right person to kind of get you out of the slump and get you back on your feet into the new Pac-12 next year.
We're talking to the great Mike Parker here on the Rib City Drive. I wanted your take on Malik Murphy. I'm not in the locker room, and I don't have the benefit of being around him, but what I do like from what I see is how he's carried himself through the difficulty to kick off the year with his leadership and his comments. And when I see that, I'm like, man, it's really nice to have a quarterback with those type of abilities also kind of setting the tone for his teammates. I've been impressed with what I've seen from him so far. What's your read on Malik?
Absolutely. He is a true leader at the most demanding position in sports. And he's had some rough moments himself. He's had some throws that, have been, quote-unquote, ill-advised. He'd like to have back. But he can make some throws, Chad. If you've seen enough of him, you know that. And I think even Dan Lanning, now coaches always engage and coach speak about the other team, but I know Lanning knows that probably is the one area that he may be a little concerned about is that big arm of Malik Murphy and his ability to make every throw. And it does seem to me, too, that a couple of receivers here and there, it's a huge loss for the Beavers not to have Darius Clemens in the group this year, the way he was developing near the end and the type of year that was expected. But Taz Reddix and David Wells made a great catch in Lubbock that shows kind of the ability that he has. The Beavers have hit some big shots downfield, and they can hit the home run ball. They need to hit one or two in this game against Oregon. But Malik has the room regardless. Even if he throws an interception here and there, he's accountable for it. He takes it upon himself. He's been a little fiery at times and combative. I know there was sort of a heated exchange that was caught on the sideline, but I chalk that up as a little bit to Gary Payton coming off the floor, jawing at George Karl and Karl back at him in terms of the heat of the moment, competitive juices flowing. Malik's he's strong. He's strong in his arm, strong in his personality and his convictions. And I think in the long run, as this season plays out, those qualities are going to serve him well. He is a leader now, and I think he's going to help lead the Beavers into a better spot when this is all said and done.
All right, the voice of the Oregon State Beavers, Mike Parker. The kickoff will be at noon on Saturday in the Civil War, Oregon and Oregon State from Autzen. Pregame will start on your home of the Beavs, 1190 KX right at 10. Hey, Doc, I really appreciate the time. Enjoy the weekend, and it's always a pleasure when you come on, my friend.
Chad, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Have a great time. I may sneak in and look for you at the Herb Alpert concert.
Disguises so that people won't know that we're getting out of work and enjoying some great music if you want. Disguises so that people won't know that we're getting out of work and enjoying some great music if you want.
Nice idea, Doc. Let's work on it. Thanks for having me on, Chad.
You got it. There you go. The great Mike Parker here on the Rip City Drive.